Recording.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of our out-of-home office hours. This is the sixth in our series of more overview sessions, and this is actually a reschedule of the one that we were going to conduct on February 28th, but had the Amazon Web Services went down and took out much of the internet services across the East Coast. So thank you again for all those who joined that session and are now joining this session again here today on this snowy day in the Northeast. Today joining me is Dylan Mabin, who's our SVP of Insights and Innovation, as well as Sean McCarthy, who's our SVP of Technology. That said, with the snowstorm here, we're all actually in different locations today, and apologies ahead of time for any technical glitches as we transfer screens between each other during this session. But today we're going to be talking about a couple different things. I want to give a quick overview of More for everybody today. If I realize some of you may have seen this already, but for those who haven't, just want to give a quick demonstration of what More's coming capabilities will be. And I do want to say ahead of time that this will just be a high-level overview. So if you would like a more detailed demonstration of it, feel free to reach out to Larry Hennessy. He's our SVP of Member Services, and he can set you up with an individual session that we would conduct for you or your organization. Or you can also reach out through our geekout@geopath.org email address and ask for that. So that's our digital helpline. It's geekout, Geekout, @geopath.org. So as I said, we'll give a quick overview of More, and then Sean is going to talk about the development schedule and potential software releases. And then Dylan will show the capabilities of the business analytics capabilities of More, as well as talking about a use case that he and I will chat through together. And as always, feel free to ask any questions as we move along. I know it's a little hard at times with this webinar format, but I'll keep checking to make sure we're responding to questions as they come along. And without further ado, I'm going to jump right into it and give a quick overview of More, as we said. So for those of you who haven't heard, so More, how we're talking about More is that it's a state-of-the-art audience location measurement fueled by mobile data, right? And that's the key part here. That's what we're really talking about. It's the idea of helping us understand audience location and using that as the basis for our information and our measurement. And to do that, we're going to be leveraging mobile data. And that's going to give us a level of precision and granularity that we haven't had before in out-of-home. And just to give a quick overview of what those components are, it still all starts with traffic counts. We still need to understand those nodal points of where people are collecting through, and that forms still the basis of helping us understand circulation. But the thing is now with our partnerships, the number of traffic count sources is going to be magnified exponentially. Currently we have approximately 80 to 90,000, and that's going to go up to somewhere around 2.5 million or even more. And so having that greater coverage allows us a greater sense of the network, and then leveraging mobile data allows us to understand the journeys people are taking. It allows us to understand the home locations of the journeys of people. And one thing to really note at this, and I always want to make sure we do say this, is that the data that we're going to be receiving is anonymized and aggregated. So we're not pulling in any personal identifiable information. It's all anonymized and aggregated, and that's the data that will be fueling More ultimately. And so the mobile data, as you said, that helps us understand the home locations of devices, and in turn allows us to really understand also the demographics at a more granular level than we've ever been able to have before. So currently we report demographics at a county level. Being able to leverage the mobile data and the home locations of the devices will allow us to understand demographics within a county, a census block group rather, which is about 1,000 to 1,500 people. So again, much more granular level of insight on people and who they are and what they're doing, and that allows us to really have greater demographics. And also we're going to be able to bring in, as you'll see when I demonstrate more, behavioral information on consumers and really have a greater understanding of who they are and what they're doing and be able to tell richer stories on them. And then leveraging the other part of the mobile data that we're pulling in is connected car data and GPS data. So think about your OnStars or apps that have any geolocation aspect to them. That allows us to understand the coverage across the road network. So the choices people are making out on the roads and the routes that they're taking, the speeds that they're going, the congestion, and again, the choices they make due to the congestion and the speed. So that allows us the greater understanding of the overall network of where people are going and how they're getting from traffic count to traffic count. And I know that's a really quick overview, but so again, please feel free to ask questions as we go along. So I want to, without further ado, jump in and give you a quick demonstration of the proof of concepts tool that we put together for more. So we have two different proof of concept tools that we've put together. This is one that's set up in terms of packages. I'm just going to give you a full sense of that so you can see how it opens up. Oop. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay. So this is for this where I'm going to the first package I'm going to show you is for a series of bulletins that are along the I-294 corridor in Chicago. So you can see, I'll zoom out a little bit. You can see that they're in the northwestern suburbs of Chicago, just south of O'Hare. And the thing that's helpful for us with this is probably somewhat of a contrived package, so to speak. The thing that it does allow us to do is it allows us to understand the power of the data and how the data interacts and gives us a greater understanding of the different the power of the data. So there's 13 boards here, all southward facing, and we know that when somebody enters here down at the bottom, they enter the highway and there's no exits. So we know everybody passing through sees all 13 boards. And what that does for us, it allows us to get a greater sense of overall circulation. So we see out in the upper right here, daily unique circulation is 82,137 people. And that's people, it's not cars any longer. We know through the mobile devices and the connected car data that it's actually people. And given the setup that we have, and we know that everybody sees all boards, we can have a sense of that just quick math, 82,000 times 13 gives us that total circulation of 1 million. And then applying the visibility index gets us to that impressions of 10 million. Another interesting thing is that we're able to tell better the in-market versus out-of-market circulation numbers. And you see here in-market is 85%. And that's actually for the whole Chicago CBSA. And I'm zooming out a little bit so you can get a sense of the Chicago CBSA. But what that does for us, it allows us to understand people coming from out of market. So those counties across the country out of the CBSA where those people are coming from. And we know that because of the home location of the devices. So you can see there's very much a regional aspect to it. So looking above the Chicago CBSA, you see pretty deeper blue. So the deeper the density of blue is, the deeper the density of devices coming from those locations. So we can see all across the country where people are coming from and even get a sense. So for example, I just clicked on Los Angeles, the county, Los Angeles County, and we know that there's 1.1% of people coming, of that 15% coming every day from Los Angeles and seeing that series of boards on I-294. So again, you think about anybody who's in the south side of Chicago needing to get to O'Hare is going to be using that road. And now we have a greater sense of who they are and where they're coming from. But, that said, out of home is a local medium largely. And here is a sense of the home locations of where people are coming from in that 85% who are in market. And as you'd expect, you could see the deeper density around where those boards are located in that northwestern corridor of Illinois. And just for comparison's sake, I always like to show this other example that we put together. And this is for shelters downtown Chicago. So you can see just a quick package, again, just a package of shelters. So there's about 45 plus or minus shelters here. And you can see how the story is a little different, right? So daily unique circulation is 343,000 plus. So much greater reach for roughly the same number, almost 10 million impressions. And the other key thing here is that the in-market circulation. So you can see 69% are in-market with 31% coming from outside the Chicago CBSA. And as we step back and look at this, it made sense to us, right? So you think about where this is, the Magnificent Mile, Michigan Avenue, State Street. So you can think about a lot of tourists, a lot of business travelers coming to this area. So it made sense that and we cross-checked it to confirm, but that they had that balance. But again, the beauty of More and the granularity of the data that we're going to be able to leverage is that we can now understand where they're coming from, where that 31% is coming from. And just to go back to the Los Angeles example, so of that 31%, 2.9% are coming from Los Angeles, California. So just to do quick math, that translates into about 3,000 people every day seeing that set of bus shelters in downtown Chicago from Los Angeles. So again, like we said, greater sense of just granularity and storytelling available to us through the leveraging of this data. And then looking at the local block group level, you can see again the density of devices, really close, into that downtown area, feathering out up into Evanston and all the other surrounding suburbs of the Chicago area. But again, kind of what you'd expect, right? Heavier in that downtown area. Compared to the other example, which is in that northwestern area of the greater Chicago area. So that's the first proof of concept that we put together. And again, as I said, these are just proof of concept tools. We have an end users council that is working on putting together the features and functionality set and what the end user experience is going to look like. But these were just to show, as we said, the power of the data of More and what we're going to be able to do with it. So one last thing I want to show quickly is, excuse me, is another portion of the tool that we put together. And you'll see on the left side how the different plants are loading in, the different media types, and on the right side, all of the bulletins available. So it's lagging a little bit, but let me just go ahead and pick a couple of the tools. I picked bulletins, digital posters, and I'll just quickly pick a couple of plants here as they come in. And you can see how on the right side, as I did that, all the inventory filtered. And once you set that up, you can go in and start to look at each individual piece of inventory. And that's one of the things that is going to be great with More. It allows us to really understand that unique profile of each individual piece of inventory. And you can see I clicked on this one piece of inventory. It's an out front bulletin, gives you all of the basics on that board and all the weekly ratings in terms of impressions, GRPs, etc. But here on the bottom is what I was referring to before, is that behavioral information that we're going to have available to us. We're working with Esri, or ESRI, who's behind the mapping capabilities of the tool. And they put together a series of segmentations, and they call their tapestry segmentation, that really clusters people into life modes and ultimately different segments. And what the colors squares represent is the proportion of those segments that are being reached by that piece of inventory. And ultimately, you can see as you click in different parts of the greater Chicago area and different boards, each piece of inventory has its own unique profile. And I'll click on one. So this next wave segment is pretty large here. And I'll click on International Marketplace. So what you see has happened on the left side let me scroll out a little bit. You can see all the inventory has turned purple, so that represents the inventory that over-indexes for that particular segment. And you also see some, and I'll scroll out a little bit, some polygons that represent neighborhoods where are in purple, where that segment is the predominant segment. It's not that they don't live in other parts of the market, but in those neighborhoods that are highlighted in purple, those are the neighborhoods where that segment over-indexes. And who are the international marketplace? Well, here's more information on them. They're married couples, about 32 years old, 3.7 people per household, etc. And so we'll have this information and even more as I click on the complete segment profile below for every single segment available. And Esri has approximately 68, I believe, segments available. And again, going back to my theme of having greater storytelling capabilities, you're able to have there'll be a lot of information provided on who these people are. So you see number of households, average income, median age, etc. But also, socioeconomic traits and more data on how they spend their money. If you look at the bottom left, average household budget index. So you can see this group tends to be a little bit under indexing in how they spend their money. They do spend more on education. So things like that, potentially, trying to put their kids through college or pay off student loans. And then on the right side, you can see the clusters of different jobs they hold with by earnings. And then also more on this third page, more anecdotal information on them, again, so you can get a richer sense of who they are. So no extra money to invest in retirement saving plans, stocks, or bonds, shop for groceries at warehouse clubs, read baby magazines, use the internet to visit Spanish language websites, etc. So, and I'll go back and just pick one more example of a segment just so you can see what that looks like. Let me scroll down, zoom out a little bit here, sorry. And so I'll go up near Evanston, just outside, boom, and you can see very, very different profile of this piece of inventory. And another thing I didn't point out, you can see here for this top tier segment that I happen to choose, it says 30.9% of the audience, 2.8% of the market. So what that means is this particular piece of inventory way over delivers on delivering that audience. It's almost 40% of this board's audience versus 3% of this audience that exists in the market. So again, just to show you a little bit more about who these people are. Top tier, you get the sense they're high net worth segment, and again, represented, you can see here, just for comparison, going down to the bottom left, how they're spending their money way over indexing on many of the areas that are being tracked as well. And again, a little bit more anecdotal information. They purchase or lease luxury cars with the latest trim, preferably imports, contribute to arts, cultural organizations, etc. So anyhow, that's a quick overview of what more is in the coming capabilities. As I said, you can imagine that these are just pieces of the overall tool that's going to be built, and Sean is heading up that with Dylan and myself. We're all working on this end users council that's really figuring out what the features and functionality set and what the user experience should look like. I'm going to jump back into the deck quick, and Sean will take us through the coming release schedule. But just before I hand it off, just what we're really excited about is, as I've said a number of times, it's that enhanced storytelling that the mobile data is going to give us, and that the richer profiling capabilities. So we're going to be able to talk about people or understand people at a greater depth, and also understand where they're going by day part, and create reports by day part, by hour of day, understand the audience's home location, and as well as even leverage that seasonal variation that we all know is there, it exists, and is just kind of currently normalized out in the data that we do have. That said, I want to hand it off to Sean and let him talk a little bit about the development and release schedule for more.
Great, thank you, Scott. So over the next 15 months, we will be rolling out a new Geopath Insights platform website and web services API. We're going to be releasing these in different phases or releases. Each release of the platform will leverage data from our partners CityLabs, as it is made available to us and will include additional features and functionality, both for the website and for the Web Services API. Starting in the second quarter of this year, we're going to release into a developmental website daily and hourly impressions. This data from CityLabs also enables us to demonstrate seasonality as well. This data is going to be made available on a non-commercial basis for our members to use so that they can review it and start to explore the change in audience based on different time periods, different seasonality, summer versus fall, and days of the week. Moving on to third quarter, we will be releasing a detailed population demographics and behavioral segmentation. This is going to provide our members the ability to look at population data on maps and start to build their own market profiles using the population data that Scott talked about from our Esri. In the fourth quarter, we're going to release advanced audience targeting, so the ability to view demographic ratings and impressions based on different time periods and days of week, and also reach frequency analysis using a national data set that we will receive from CityLabs. In the beginning of 2018, in that first quarter, we're going to be releasing a seasonal data set and followed by a historical data set which will enable post-campaign analyses. So that's the timeline as we see it today. We're going to be able to provide finer estimates of delivery dates as we get thicker into development, but hopefully that will give you a better sense of where we are as far as releasing the data and software.
Cool. Great. And so next, Dylan is going to take us through and show us some more of the capabilities that we will be coming with more in terms of the business analytics available within the tool. And just handing it over to him, and he'll take us through that. And again,
great. Thanks, Scott.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, everybody, feel free to ask questions as we go through again.
Awesome. Thanks, thanks, Scott and Sean. So let me give you a little demo of the business analytics data set that's really powering the foundational population data that we're moving towards. And this gets into what Scott was highlighting with some of the Esri Tapestry segmentation. And segmentation is fantastic, sort of from like a very top-level strategy, just really kind of trying to pinpoint what type of consumer you want to target for a particular objective. But a lot of times people are wanting to get into really specific demographics, and the business analyst server application that we are licensing on behalf of the Geopath membership includes a very, very impressive behavioral data set as well, including spending by category and such. So let me demo a little bit about what this looks like. So of course, we'll be able to map out all of the inventory across the United States. This is going to pop up on the window. Hopefully you can see all this. So we can zoom into a particular location and see all the inventory. See all the inventory on the roadway. Obviously the color shading on this will be a little bit different. I just wanted to sort of highlight all of the inventory that we have in our database today. As you can see, we have a lot of stuff all over the entire country. But what's going to be really fun is when we can start comparing the audience home location, as Scott demoed, against the demographic information. And here is the predominant tapestry segmentation for the entire country. This is by state, and of course you can zoom in to a particular area. We'll go over into New York. where it's nice and covered in snow today. And you can see the predominant Esri Tapestry segmentation in this area. This census tract 340270442 is this top tier. That's the predominant segmentation in that area. And that's great, but what's really going to power a lot of cool insights in the future is looking at consumer behaviors, talking about a particular either brand or store location. What I pulled up here is the average consumer spending by household annually for lunch at full-service restaurants. So if your client's trying to find an audience for a lunch menu that they're promoting at a sit-down restaurant, that's something that we can look at. That's pretty awesome. We can also look at, here's another great one, a big spender in out-of-home, food away from home for quick-serve restaurants. This is a huge big spender in out-of-home as quick-serve restaurant. You can also look at entertainment. This is this zip code 60010, Barrington, Illinois, spends on average $913 lunch at fast food restaurants every year. So that's some pretty great insights if you're trying to target particular pieces of inventory that deliver audience to a particular neighborhood at a particular time of day. So there's dimensions now to out-of-home that we can now leverage for strategy that we weren't able to activate before. So some really cool things here. One last thing, and then we'll move on. Talking about cross-media insights. Here is the percentage of households that subscribe to cable TV. The dark shaded red area is 53 to 67% of households. So you can also look all the way down to very, 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 very precise geography of census block groups, which represent about 200 households. You can see how the behaviors of people change. And all this ties back into the audience for a particular stretch of road, and therefore a particular piece of inventory. So we'll pull up the inventory on the map one more time. And we'll zoom all the way back into Chicago. Let's see, where are we? And let's go ahead and look at a particular piece of inventory and some of the audience in close proximity. I'm going to turn off this demographic layer real quick. And let's just look at inventory. So one of my favorite colors is blue. So let me find a blue piece of inventory. Let's look at this unit right here. This is a wall. This is an outselling piece of inventory, and let's look at the audience within, let's do a 15-minute drive time. And let's do a 15-minute drive time on Friday afternoon. So this is the footprint of where people can pass by this unit within 15 minutes for a 15-minute drive using expected speed on those roadways. And so we can get some information about this footprint as well. We can find all the inventory. Let's imagine this is a retail location. We can find the demographics in the vicinity. There's 500,000 individuals nearby within this 15-minute drive time footprint. Median household income, $58,000. You can also look for retail locations. We can, let's look for Starbucks. So here's all the Starbucks locations in the Chicago area. Say you want to find inventory that's going to within a certain distance of those Starbucks locations. Again, we have the location components now to put our inventory, our members' inventory, in relationship to where the audiences live. So the capabilities of this platform to be able to understand the demographics, really, really, really powerful stuff. And we're really excited about bringing this utility to our membership. As Scott said, in the next couple of months, we'll be able to expose this in Q3, being able to look at the population, exposing these mapping tools for everyone to start being able to use for sales or investigating what inventory is close to a particular demographic that you're looking for in a marketplace.
Hey, Dylan, before you leave this slide, there's a couple questions that I want to make sure we answer. This is a good place probably to answer it. One of the first questions was whether or not the timeline here is applicable for mobile billboards as well as specifically truck site advertising.
So the mobile billboard and truck site advertising work that we're doing right now is kind of running parallel to the foundational more product. What we will be able to do is use this core data set for any of the work that is going to be developed for mobile billboards, truck side, taxis, things like that. So that's a separate conversation that's going on, but the same capabilities are all going to be part of this.
Okay, cool. And then a couple questions on the business analytics tool as well. One, will the heat map or quintile map be based off of each individual DMA/region or just overall national?
This is getting into cost of living and such. It's relative, exactly. So it's average dollars spent in that area. So if you were trying to normalize it for cost of living, you might want to compare it to things like median household income or consumer price index. I'm not quite sure what the best way to do that is. However, the demographics and the data is very, very, very local. So normalizing it for cost of living, that's an interesting idea. We'll have to see what we can do with that.
Okay. And then the last question right now is, are all the business addresses listed in this mapping utility or just major corporations?
It is all businesses. The business locations coming from Esri, it's quite exhaustive. So yeah, there's lots of local businesses getting down to just a couple $1,000 in sales, has information on the number of employees, address, etc. So it's a really good bit of information to use to understand what type of clients are in proximity to a particular unit, or if you're looking for a particular client and trying to understand the demographics within a trade area, which is a perfect segue to our little use case, which is we wanted to sort of highlight really how this information could be leveraged for making informed decisions on deciding what units best suited to a particular cause, and that could be from the buyer or seller perspective. From the seller side, if you're trying to find what unit is best suited or what type of population is best suited to target with a particular piece of inventory, you can find that this piece of inventory is 50% of them are active lifestyle individuals. So I'm going to go after brands that prefer active lifestyle individuals. Or if you are on the buyer side, you may want to look for units that over-index for a particular demographic. So let's get into those conversations, because ultimately what we're trying to do here is efficiently deliver the audience that the client wants within a particular area. and it's all about understanding the inventory, the particular target, and the particular market area or trade area. And the trade area is where we're really able to change how people or expand the capabilities of out-of-home targeting, being able to go beyond just a CBSA, beyond a DMA, beyond a county level market definition, looking at zip code audience delivery, census tract audience delivery, or nationwide audience delivery. Not a nationwide equivalency, but an actual nationwide audience delivery for a particular campaign. That's really exciting. So we're going to use this local example here for our Elmhurst BMW. What we want to do here is define, of course, first the trade area. We need to define what the market is. Well, there's a couple different ways you can do that. So we know that most people drive about 30 miles, or usually what people mean is about 30 minutes to get to their destination, to go find a dealership that they would consider buying a vehicle from. So this is a BMW dealership, so we're looking for luxury car buyers. So here's the footprint of the CBSA. This is one of the standard markets that we work with today, and here's some of the BMW dealerships within the Chicago area. We want to focus here on this Elmhurst location, and as I was saying, a lot of people are looking at inventory within a certain proximity to whatever client you're trying to work with for the out-of-home campaign. And a lot of people are using this sort of point radius approach, and this is a good start because it's the right concept that we want to start looking at. This is a radius trade area, so within this 30-mile radius, there's about 7.8 million people. Now, within that trade area, we can look at some of the key metrics. We can see the total population, household size, income, employment types. 66% are white-collar, working individuals. We have income distribution,
And
median net worth.
And Dylan, right, we'll be able to pull in, for example, into this screen we're looking at, right, things like purchase lease most recent vehicle 5+ years ago, or things specific to the actual target you're looking for, the business you're looking for as well, right?
Correct. Yeah, there's a lot of different very specific variables that we will now be able to expose to our members in the automotive range. It's things like spending an aftermarket product for vehicles, how much you spent on a vehicle, when the last vehicle was purchased by a household, things like that help you identify which neighborhoods are primed for purchasing a new vehicle in this case. Now, when we draw this radius, a 30-mile as a crow flies distance is somewhat practical, but you can do better, right? People don't fly, people drive. So this is a 30-mile drive distance, and of course the population is going to change. Now there's about 10% less individuals in this marketplace for the population. Again, similar metrics available for whatever trade area we're looking at, but people don't really think about how far they're driving. They don't have, I have 30 miles worth of gas, I'm going to go out and drive and get to the dealership. They say, I have 30 minutes to spare, I'm willing to drive 30 minutes to go to a dealership. And so looking at things like drive time, radius, or the footprint of the audience that lives within a 30-minute drive time, this specifically is a 30-minute drive time, again, at noon on Sundays, which is when a lot of people, on Saturdays, which is a lot of people are out purchasing vehicles. So you can be very specific to when you want to influence the individuals to make those decisions happen. We've talked before about how many trips are made every day in the United States. There's about 1.1 billion, and 45% of them are with the intent of purchasing a good or service. And that's a statistic that I don't think we can repeat enough, because it's so important for the out-of-home industry to be able to activate and influence those individuals that are traveling around. So let's get back to this footprint of the service area for this dealership. So we want to find individuals that are more likely to purchase luxury vehicles? Well, we have that data now, right? So we can look at the density and the likelihood of the households having a luxury vehicle. So these are the neighborhoods that the households have luxury vehicles. So the dark blue areas are areas where more than 12% of the audience, or 12% of the households have luxury vehicles. So we want to identify potential inventory that's suited to delivering for this objective. So here's all the inventory in the Chicago area. Well, let's just take a look at 3 pieces of inventory. So we have three panels, and of course, when you're trying to optimize or be efficient, you want to find what inventory is most suited for a particular objective. Now, all of these deliver about the same 18-plus total audience. They're all over-indexing versus the largest Chicago DMA. So they all total audience about 150 index versus inventory in the area. But once we start looking at a particular target, right, we want to find households with luxury vehicles. We now know, because of the home location of the audiences that are traveling on those roadways, which households come from these areas with a higher propensity of luxury vehicle ownership. We can see which pieces of inventory now over-index for that target audience. So the first 2 pieces of inventory, of course, as you would probably assume, looking at this map, over-index for household income, or sorry, for luxury vehicle ownership. But what we want to do is focus on within this particular trade area, right? We want to look at the service area for this dealership. So which one of these units delivers the most of our target audience within our service area, within our market? And so when we look at the home location of those audience in market target audience delivery, we see the panel B pops. Now, panel A is still great, as you can see. It's still in the middle of this in Bolingbrook, but it may be more suited for a different dealership. But it's still over-indexing quite a bit, as we saw, for luxury vehicle ownership, just for a different location. Now, panel C, just not the greatest for that market, might be better suited for a different type of vehicle. We could look at Ford vehicle ownership, might be more of a domestic vehicle ownership in that case. And oftentimes, while you might be looking at one location to be able to sell a couple pieces of inventory or utilize a couple pieces of inventory for an advertiser, sometimes it's a little more complex. You have regional objectives. So maybe all of the BMW dealerships in the Chicago metropolitan area are getting together. We, again, know the footprint of households that are within a 30-minute drive of Chicago dealerships. You can find out which piece of inventory is best suited to luxury automobiles, and then which one's suited to the best dealership, and then even what type of message is best suited to each piece of inventory. Again, getting back to, you might find that 2 pieces of inventory are both over-indexing about the same for a target audience in the marketplace, but one are active lifestyle individuals, one might be a senior group. So you might want to target an SUV, the X5 to this group, and the 3 Series sedan to this group. It really just allows a lot more justifiable decisions to be made, defensible decisions to be made that are backed up by real data coming from mobile devices, coming from advanced behavioral information for the population that's going to really drive a higher utilization and a higher function for out-of-home buyers and sellers. So again, we're just really excited about bringing a lot of this to market. We've got a lot of stuff coming in the next 12 months. And so feel free to reach out to us with any questions. Scott, I'm not sure if you have anything else you want to say, but that's...
Nope. I just want to echo that. Please feel free to send any questions, and we will have a link of this webinar made available to everybody, as well as the other 5 webinars that we've done in this series as well, that have each time we cover a different part of the capabilities of More. So if you haven't had a chance to see any of the other ones, those are all worth a view as well. And as always, feel free to ask any questions or reach out. And as I said up front, if anybody wants, I know I went pretty quickly through the proof of concept tool. if anybody wants a deeper dive into that, feel free to reach out either at geekout@geopath.org or reaching out directly to Larry Hennessy. But thank you, everybody. We really appreciate everybody's time. It doesn't seem like there's any other questions, so just want to say again thanks, and thank you for joining, and hopefully we'll see you at the next webinar. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.